Hello, I'm Jess Baker-Pike and I'm Viridor's Learning and Visitor Centre Manager. My role is to manage a team of Visitor Centre and Community Benefits Officers and together work within our communities to explain the Energy Recovery Facility process. We work with schools and colleges as well as local community groups to promote understanding of what happens to waste once it is collected from your household. I'm an environmental scientist and waste treatment and policy is my particular area of interest. This is Ardley Energy Recovery Facility, or ERF for short. It's the place where I work and where all of Oxfordshire's waste which cannot be recycled, known as residual waste or black bag waste, comes to be treated. The process works to firmly treat the residual waste generating energy, putting enough electricity through our local grid to power the equivalent of 60,000 homes. You can think of the process as a power station, with residual waste as the fuel. The other outputs from the process are recycled for use in construction. Over the next 20 minutes, I'm going to talk you through where your waste is treated, what we do and why, the main legislation, and how we process your waste. This aerial photograph shows you where the facility is located in the north of Oxfordshire. It is south of Junction 10 of the M40, northwest of Bicester, and can be seen from the motorway. The site entrance is south of Ardley village, which can be seen in the top left of this photograph. And it's between the Household Waste Recycling Centre, which is located at our landfill site, currently being restored, and Smiths of Bletchington Limestone Quarry, which lies in the south of the ERF. You can see the stockpiles of aggregate in the bottom right of this photograph. In the 1990s, whilst preparing the southern part of the site for landfilling, dinosaur trackways were discovered in the limestone layer. The trackways were mapped by geologists and they turned out to be some of the longest dinosaur trackways in the world. If you want to discover more, put Ardley Dinosaur into your browser and you should find a short video narrated by Chris Packham explaining the research that resulted from the mapping of the trackway. There are displays we've supported at the Natural History Museum in Oxford and at the County Museum in Woodstock. This is Meg. We call her a Megawattosaurus. She is anatomically correct for the carnivorous Megalosaurus dinosaur which roamed this part of Oxfordshire during the Jurassic period, about 168 million years ago. She stands in the reception at Ardley Energy Recovery Facility, an impressive, approximately 4 metre high upcycled sculpture made of items that were thrown away at the Household Waste Recycling Centre on the other side of the site. She celebrates our site's amazing Jurassic past and she is testament to the value in the things that are thrown away. Some of Oxfordshire's residual waste used to go to the landfill, but has been treated at the Ardley Energy Recovery Facility, or ERF, since it became operational in November 2014. The ERF process allows for sophisticated and efficient treatment of the residual waste. It offers greater carbon efficiency compared to landfilling and therefore is better for the environment. We operate within an overarching legal framework called the Waste Framework Directive 2008. The core principles of the Waste Framework Directive are expressed in the waste hierarchy, which you may be familiar with. It ranks waste management options according to their impact on the environment. All businesses in the waste sector have a duty of care to promote waste up the hierarchy, moving away from landfill disposal towards reducing waste in the first place. It's something that we can all do to manage our resources as efficiently as possible. Reduce. Reducing the amount of waste we produce in the first place is the best option, so buy what you need. Reuse. Keeping materials in use by maintaining, cleaning and fixing them, and buying second-hand. Recycle. Putting the right household waste in the correct bin. Right stuff, right bin, helps ensure resources are kept in use for longer. Material recycling facilities where mixed recycling is separated are designed to separate certain things by type, shape and weight. Of course, all recycling must be cleanish, dry and loose. No sanitary waste garden waste or sharps. Recover. Processing residual waste such as nappies, foilised plastics like crisp and sweet wrappers, and polystyrene is a better way to contain and control waste, reducing the environmental impacts. Disposal to land is the least favoured option, and because of the ERF at Ardley in Oxfordshire, we divert a minimum of 95% of residual waste away from landfill. So we support a transition to a circular economy, which is the top 3 layers of the waste hierarchy. A circular economy is one where waste is designed out. We keep materials in use for as long as possible and support natural systems of regeneration. Please put batteries in battery bins and return gas bottles to the supplier where possible. You might get your deposit refunded or money off a full one. Ardley Energy Recovery Facility cost £205 million to build. This kind of investment was possible due to the 25-year contract with Oxfordshire County Council. We can process up to 326,000 tonnes of residual waste per year, and we use the energy in the form of electricity to run our facility and then output up to 27 megawatts continuously under contract to the national grid, which is enough for approximately 60,000 homes. There are 40 colleagues in the operations team at Ardley who run the process, and the visitor centre is an essential element of the contract, so that under normal circumstances bookings can be made to visit the site. There are 2 principal consents we need to operate. The planning authority are responsible for the planning permission granted for the development and operation of the site, and the environmental permit defines the type of waste we are allowed to treat and how we manage its treatment. The waste we are permitted to accept includes the household waste we put into our bins at home. We do not accept hazardous wastes. Under the permit, we have to adhere to strict emissions limits, and this must comply with the Industrial Emissions Directive 2015. The permit's regulated by the Environment Agency. ERFs have to comply with very strict emissions limits under the environmental permits. At Ardley, we manage our emissions to air with emission limit values as set out in the environmental permit. From this aerial photograph, you can see the curved structure of Ardley Energy Recovery Facility. The architect's design is based on the Megalosaurus footprint, a 3-pronged toe that you can see on the slide. The building is ergonomically designed to cloak the engineering. The roofline is approximately 40 metres high. That's about the height of a 10-storey building. And the 2 chimneys or stacks are about double that height at 82 metres. The facility operates 24/7 and has 2 lines for processing waste. The waste is burnt at high temperatures of over 850 degrees Celsius, and the flue gases are sucked through the clean-up process before they are released to air. Water, the same quality as household tap water, is demineralised and then degassed on site and pumped in the opposite direction of the hot flue gases. All the heat energy transfers into the water, creating high temperature and pressure steam. This is sucked through the turbine by a difference in temperature and pressure created by the air-cooled condenser. The steam condenses back to liquid water and is recycled again and again. The electricity generated is used to power the process, and the rest flows through cables which leave site for export via Bicester substation to the national grid. When vehicles delivering waste arrive at the site, they are weighed and the details of the waste they are carrying is recorded. Then they drive into the tipping hall, where they reverse to eject the waste they are carrying straight into the bunker or store. The bunker at Ardley is large enough to hold around 5 days' worth of waste. The images of the tipping hall clearly shows its scale, and there are 2 grab cranes that move on overhead gantry rails to mix the waste and lift it to deliver it as a fuel into the hoppers which feed onto the grate. There is a continuous feed of waste into the process. This image shows some of the complex engineering within the facility. Can you see the operative here on the left-hand side, which gives you an idea of the scale of the operation? You can also see one of the 2 grates. It's the green sloping area with red-brown over the top. Once waste is loaded via the feed hoppers onto the grate, a combination of gravity and the operating mechanism of the grate itself moves the waste down the slope. The blue ducts are air ducts. All the air from above the waste store, the bunker, and from within the facility is sucked and pumped over the grates. It's the air suction that controls odours within the building and ensures that there is plenty of oxygen over the grate so that all the waste is combusted effectively and burns out. The process takes about 45 minutes for the waste to be fully burnt out as it moves down the grate. Once the waste has been combusted and is ejected from the end of the grate over a roller, it is then cooled or quenched using water that has already been used in the process. The ash is then pushed onto a vibrating table where large items, mostly metals, are separated into green mini skips which are removed to enable the metals to be further processed and recycled. The ash then passes by conveyor under magnets, enabling the further separation of ferrous metals, which are again removed for recycling. Once the metals have been removed, the remaining ash continues on its short journey via conveyor to be processed by our co-located business partner Fortis. The ash is stored, then processed further to remove even more metals, and what is left is a product which can be used for road building. It's called Incinerator Bottom Ash Aggregate, or IBAA for short, and you can see it in the store which is close to the car park in the slide. Alongside running our operations safely, ensuring we operate within our permit for emissions is a key focus for the team that operates the site. A sophisticated computer system enables the continuous control and monitoring of emissions. This is a 2-minute film which allows you to see more of the inside of the process in operation. We should all reduce, reuse and recycle correctly as much as possible. But we recognise that there will be some waste which can't be recycled from our homes and businesses. This residual waste will be collected and may be brought to the ERF directly or taken to transfer stations where it can be bulked up and transported to Ardley. At the ERF, the waste is tipped into the bunker where it is moved around and mixed by 2 giant overhead gantry cranes. The cranes then lift the waste into hoppers and it falls down onto the grate where it is burnt at temperatures above 850 degrees Celsius. The ash drops off the grate and is moved around the facility on a vibrating table and series of conveyors. Large items are separated and the smaller ash fragments are moved under magnets which separate out smaller pieces of ferrous metal. The remaining ash is processed on site, removing even more metals. What is left is a product used for building the foundations of roads called Incinerator Bottom Ash Aggregate, or IBAA. The middle line of the process diagram explains what happens to the gases generated by the combustion of the waste. The gases are sucked through ducts as they are cleaned. There are three processes which clean the gas. First, within the combustion chamber, we inject urea pellets, which reacts away NOx gases. Secondly, we use vibrations to suck down any particulates within the gas stream. Thirdly, two powders are injected, activated carbon and hydrated lime, to react with and clean the gases. Then the reacted powders are sieved out of the gases through fabric filters. The powder is termed air pollution control residue. This is tankered off-site to a company called OCO, who turn it into a product which can be used as an aggregate replacement in the construction industry and carbon negative building blocks. Gases are sampled as they are cleaned up, so that the computerised control system and the operations team ensure we operate well under our consented emissions levels. Like traditional power stations, we use water to generate steam to drive a turbine, which in turn feeds a generator. As the very hot gases are sucked through the clean-up process, we pump degassed and demineralised water into pipework through the hot gases in the opposite direction. All the heat energy moves into the pipes, so heating up the water. The water turns into steam, and once it is superheated, it is safe to suck it down to the turbine. The blades spin and the turbine is hooked up to a generator. Electricity flows to the transformers, and then cables transport the electricity via Bicester substation into the national grid. I'm going to end by going through some frequently asked questions. Firstly, how do I know what is right for recycling in my area? The best place to go for that information is the Oxfordshire County Council website, oxfordshire.gov.uk/residents/environment and planning/waste and recycling/household waste/rubbish collection. There you can find all the links to your district and the city councils, where you should find all the answers you need. An alternative is recyclenow.com. They have a postcode locator that tells you exactly what is collected from your household. The second question is, what can I do to find out about where to go to repair, reuse and recycle? In Oxfordshire, we have access to a brilliant web-based tool, the Waste Wizard. You can find it on this webpage or go to it directly at oxfordshire.gov.uk/wastewizard, and there again you can get more information about what to do locally. The next is, what isn't right for recycling? Again, your local authority website should tell you what to put in each bin and what to leave out in all circumstances, but there are some things to note. So, tissue paper, like this kitchen towel, is too low quality for recycling, so don't put that in your recycling bin. Then I've got here some crisp and sweet wrappers. They are plastic and foil, along with pill packets like this. They are not right for recycling, as well as polystyrene, and anything that's dirty is not right for recycling. What is right for recycling in terms of plastic is the plastic that's around food and drink. That's definitely safe for recycling. So, what are some of the strangest things that have arrived for treatment at Ardley ERF? A tortoise, which was rescued from the tipping hall. We also found a World War I soldier's helmet. Actually, though, I think the strangest thing, which is very common in fact for us, is all the money, all the coinage that there is that ends up in the ash. So it can go for recycling, but it seems really strange to me that people throw away money that could be used. The last frequently asked question is, what do I do personally at home to manage my resources? Well, the first thing to say is that I think before I buy, so I reduce waste in the first place. Then I manage my food resources very tightly. We don't generate much food waste in my house. There is some banana peel and that kind of thing, but we work to a rule of thumb, which is that you can always have more, but you can't have less. So we serve smaller portions, and then we can have more if we're still hungry. I use my freezer for leftovers, and that really helps prevent food waste too. This year for International Earth Day, I pledged to recycle all my polythene. So I take things like frozen food packaging, that kind of rustly thin plastic, along with broken carrier bags to my supermarket, and it can be melted down and made into more polythene products again. I hope you found this presentation useful and interesting. Under normal circumstances, we welcome pre-booked groups to Ardley, and of course I hope very much that we'll be able to do that soon. Thank you.